We are Fandom Roulette.
Two nerds with a passion for
History,
video games,
tabletop games,
and, well, really any nerdy stuff that comes into our lives.
While we might not be able to name every ship classification in Star Wars,
Or every Pokemon.
or every spell in the player's handbook,
Well, one of us can.
we're still here to have a good time.
Hey everyone, welcome to Phantom Roulette. This is Joe.
And I'm Cody.
And on Phantom Roulette, this is a podcast where we talk about a myriad of nerdy things, including such things as history, video games, tabletop role-playing games, and whatever nerdy stuff we feel like talking about as we go through the episode and we go through life. How have you been, Cody?
I have been well. How have you been?
I've been well as well.
Yeah?
Yeah. But not when I was going around that well.
Oh.
Well,
Okay.
the well was it was okay. Wordplay. Yeah, we're playing with those words, bud.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
no one can stop us now.
well, I'm going to try. So, here's a
Nope,
question
no, you
for
can't.
you.
Oh, what?
I have a question for you.
I hopefully have an answer.
If
It's an old server joke that I just pulled out right there.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
So, if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
were going to be an angsty, edgy mercenary in a
Okay.
fantasy world,
Sure.
what would your name be?
Oh God, this is a good question, Cody.
Uh-huh.
If I was to be an angsty, I think I would go with something onomatopoeic.
Okay, okay.
Like scritch.
Ooh, scritch.
Or like ching.
Ooh, okay, okay.
Make it really difficult for those voice actors.
Yes, absolutely.
What's up? Bing! I'd be like, hey, how's it going?
Hey, I'm here
to fight the evil corporation that's evil.
yeah,
Whoa,
evil core, the evil corporation.
that's so interesting. Screek. Now to the eagle-eared listeners at home,
They know.
that's 3 different sounds. There was no consistency between them except I went at one point in them.
Yeah, well, see, here's what happened is the voice actors couldn't get the right tone for your name.
Yeah.
So
they
what
ended
they
up calling
did
you
is they
Cloud.
got the original person who created the name, Joe, to
yeah.
say it in just 3 or 4 different ways so
Sure,
that they
well-
can impose your voice over the name.
And we also have to take into account regional dialects
Exactly.
in this fantasy realm where in the northern realms where it's a little snowier, they're not going to be able to get that sounded there, so it's probably more like because the higher the register, it's not going to work because you're exposing your teeth to too much of that cold air.
It's true. This is how dialects work, I think.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Sure. 100%.
Why not, right?
Yeah.
And then of course if you're coming from the grassy plains of the atolls to the west, then of course it's a screen because of just how light and airy everything is over there. And it's it's a completely different name. That would actually the logic in which I invented right there. It would be like if I went up to to Minnesota and they'd be like, "Hi, I'd be like, "Hi, my name's Joe," and they'd be like, "Hi, Joe." And if I went to the plains to the west, if I went to Kansas or whatever, and I was like, "Hi, my name is Joe," they'd be like, "Nice to meet you, Joe." And I'm like, "Why'd you elongate it so much? That was ridiculous." That's the world I just created.
What a wild time to be alive in Joe's world.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. So
My brain is falling
how do
apart.
how do you spell that? Is it basically screen SCREEN, or are there I's and umlauts and things?
But there's 4 accent marks over the first E and
Okay.
the last
4.
N. Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. That's why you go screen.
Screen. So what dialect did I just say it in, or did I say it wrong?
You said it obviously in the city dialect.
Okay.
The capital city where you start your adventure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Now, of course, in the middle of the capital. Yeah. When you're of course in the capital city, that you're under the looming tower of the Strong Corporation.
No.
And of course they are responsible for like everything, right? It's like you can't go anywhere in the city without finding a strong product.
Oh yeah. They create everything from like the drinks that you drink to the clothes that you wear.
Sure, right. And then
and all of the entertainment is strong lung. Was that it? Did I get it right? Okay.
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, you're coming. You're coming from the merchant district,
right?
And so they actually remember the original name of the corporation before they rebranded. And so that's
before they rebranded.
That's actually something that they say in the merchant district in secret, because it's actually a criminal offense at this point to call them by their old name.
Wow, I didn't know this was gonna go here. No, I thought we were gonna get a name and maybe some goofs, but we're 6 minutes in now.
Yeah. Hey, what would your mercenary name be?
Man, I had so much time to think about that in this moment, and I didn't.
Cloud.
That was the joke I was gonna make 6 minutes ago.
Yeah, what? You like put.
I let this happen. To be fair, that's on me. I fucked this up.
That's like leaving a running car in a driveway with a 5-year-old. He's gonna get in there. But anyway,
to be fair, no, my name would probably be Vincent Valentine, because that's the most fucking edgy ass name that could be conceived in the English language.
It's pretty good name.
If I was a male, if I was a female protagonist, probably use the name Pandora in some fashion.
Yeah, you know what my
Yes, tell me your
it'd be Katie.
Oh.
Just normal old mundane name. It's like
you've got all these people like Shring! And Vincent Valentine, and it's like, hi, I'm Katie, and it's like,
hi, I'm Katie, nice to meet you. I'm mercenary.
I'm Strife Cloud.
When he goes up to the north, it's like, how's it going? And then when she goes to the plains,
it's reversed. If you have a normal name in all of the places that say weird names, your name becomes weird.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So anyways,
it's a wild world in the capital city.
I can't believe I let this. I can't believe I let this happen. Welcome to the video game section.
And then, of course, now we have to get it deep into the lore of the Weapon 7.
No,
program.
save it for next month.
No, man. Weapon 7. We gotta get into Weapon 7 right here, right now.
Oh, Weapon 7, is that the name of this this world that you've built?
No, obviously. What Weapon 7 is everyone has exactly 7 blades.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so anyway, carrying on, Cody. What video game are we talking about this week? I'm stopping myself.
Oh, wow.
I cannot be trusted.
God, this is the 90th episode, and you can't trust yourself to stop, so you stopped yourself. This is a miracle. I've never seen such restraint ever. Anyways, I'm so flabbergasted. So anyways, the video game, I was going to talk about the Final Fantasy VII Remake, because the demo just dropped 2 days ago.
Oh, man.
And from this recording.
It's funny because
I
was parodying the very little I know about Final Fantasy VII.
And I didn't tell you.
In that whole rambling about like Jingong Corporation. That's different than what I did like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to remember the weird, horrible sounds that I made 5 minutes ago. I'm like a goldfish. I'm like a shark. I just keep swimming forward. But anyway, hey, what's up with Final Fantasy VII Remake? Are they doing it?
Yeah, so they're finally doing it. this game has been rumored and it's been this hive mind of like, the first Final Fantasy game came out a long time ago. Like a long time ago.
It was the Final Fantasy.
Well, it was the 7th.
Are we talking about Final Fantasy 7? Not the first Final Fantasy?
Correct. This is the 7.
Came out in like 98?
It came out in 97. I just looked it
close.
up. I know, right? It was super unprofessional. I usually have these dates.
No, it's cool. I was so close because you look at those graphics and you're like, man, that's what the future. That's video games right there.
Yeah,
baby.
when I was a kid who learned about Final Fantasy VII and the angst and edge that just oozed off of this game, I was like, this is the future. Everyone is the bodies are all 3D. The backgrounds are all well drawn and like still like 2D-ish. And we have videos that just blew our goddamn minds. And now, almost 1 million years later, I did the math. In the year of our Lord Cloud Strife 2020, April 10th, allegedly, the new game will come out. Because it did get pushed back to the 10th of April. But the demo just dropped 2 days ago for the remake. Yeah. And I will start with how the old game was, and then I'll talk about my experience with the demo.
Okay.
Because it's a whole, so like the first Final Fantasy VII was I would argue, a fairly classic turn-based RPG with a kind of a new system to the turn-based, and they called it the ATB system, which is the action time-based turn system. I believe later Cody will correct me. Active time battle, you fuck. But basically the idea is like, it was turn-based, but like in Chrono Trigger, the game still kept going even when it was your turn. So like if you waited too long, or if you kept like sat on a screen for too long, like the enemies would still go.
Huh.
So it was kind of this, at least back then, it was kind of like timing and making sure that you were making the best logical moves as quickly as possible to avoid letting the enemies get too many hits on you. And the game follows the edgy ex-military man, Cloud Strife, as he takes on contract work to aid a whole old hometown friend and their ragtag group of terrorists as they go blow up reactors in a big old fantasy city. You can smell the carnage from here.
I can.
Yeah. But in traditional RPG fashion, this group of city terrorists have to go save the world because another angsty, edgy man shows up and is like, you thought you were angsty and edgy. Well, look at me now. My sword is twice as long as your big sword.
It's a big old sword.
Yeah. So, that being said, that was Final Fantasy VII in 1997. The demo was amazing. If you want to look at gameplay, or if you want to try it out yourself, it's free on the PlayStation 4. And if you want to like watch somebody because you don't have a PS4, you can actually check out our stream, because I did it just this past Monday. And holy crap, it's so cool. So instead of being turn-based, although turn-based will be an option in this game for people who are like into that, or like still want to do that, as far as I understand, this new system is like kind of super action focused, like in Final Fantasy 15, where you run around and you have like health and stats and all the traditional comings of an RPG, but you have like a light and heavy attack that you just kind of do whenever you want, like in a game like God of War or Kingdom Hearts or Devil May Cry. Like there's no sitting there waiting to like do something. Like everything, like if you're hitting buttons, you're doing the thing. And Cloud can, he's got his basic and powerful attacks. He's got blocks. He's got dodges. He has 2 different modes that he can switch in between. And his base mode is just like, I can block and dodge and do all the things. And then his second mode is like a heavy hitting, like super mode, but he can't block ranged attacks. And it has like, if you block a melee attack at the right time, there's like a parry mechanic where like you do damage to them instead. And that can really mess people up. And like, he's got all of these different abilities, and that's just Cloud. That's just one character. There's a bunch more. But in the demo, you only get to play Cloud and Barret. And Barret is your melee guy because he has a literal machine gun as his right arm. Right arm? Left arm. Not sure which one at the moment. Later, me will correct that as well. It's right. It's right.
It's certainly an arm.
Yes, he's got a whole arm that has a machine gun. And I'm not talking like a rifle, right? I'm talking like a light machine gun, like barrels, and like this thing is like almost touches the ground if he were to like just kind of shift his weight a little bit. Like it's fucking huge. And when you're playing as Barret, he's got the ranged attack. So like you hold square and he shoots stuff. And then he's also got like an overcharged shot that you can like charge up, and he's got the blocking and dodging that Cloud does. But along with that, each character has special moves and magic that you can do through the remake's version of the ATB system. So there is a meter that still fills up, but instead of being just for basic attacks, it's for items and magic and these special abilities. And so while you're playing, you're like slashing around with Cloud, like, yeah. And then this ATB thing fills up. So then you can go in, and this like slows down combat to a crawl to let you go through the menu and be like, oh, well, Cloud's going to use his special move, Braver, which if you're familiar, that's his limit break from the first game, where he basically like jumps up in the air and just like throws his sword down. It's pretty wild. But you can't spam these ATB abilities. You have to either wait for them to fill up or take damage or do damage as it fills up. So you have to be careful about letting yourself get wounded, because if someone's going to hit you with an attack that would kill you and you don't have any ATB or like that meter filled up, like you're dead. Like that's it. So it does, while it does, it's more free flowing in terms of like how combat works. There are still elements of strategy to like having a watchful eye on that bar. 'Cause like, that's how you heal yourself, and that's how you use all your special attacks. And so on top of that, each enemy has kind of a pressure stun gauge, where the more powerful or magical attacks, it's kind of different for every enemy as far as I can tell so far, but basically there's this meter that can fill up, and if you do the right things and you fill up the meter to full, the enemy or boss or whatever is stunned, and while they're stunned, you could do a shit ton of damage. Like you just like do way more than what you were doing before. So it kind of feels like the strategy for the game in most cases is figuring out what increases that stun gauge the quickest, because it's kind of like I said, it's different for everybody. Certain enemies, it's like just magic. It's like, okay, I'll just cast spells. But then the boss of the game and the demo, it was like, yeah, thunder magic did it, but also like there was a special like area that you could hit under its butt that also did stuff. So like, yeah, so like, and this is different from, like I said, it's different for every person, but what's really cool is like the base battles against like minor enemies are really fun, because like it's just Cloud ripping through Shinra soldiers and monsters and stuff, and it's really cool. But the boss battles are so challenging. There's a lot going on, because like not only do you have these mechanics to deal with, but you have to figure out their weaknesses and their patterns. And they have a lot of moves. Like the game does a good job at explaining like, oh, bosses are a whole nother game than the regular enemies. They can have phases where they do different stuff, and they have like abilities where like the environment changes, and you basically have to get used to dodging, blocking, preserving your health while also kind of abusing the pressure stun system in order to kind of figure out how to damage the boss in a way that like doesn't deplete your potions by the end of it. It's super cool, and the music, like just in terms of the aesthetics, the whole game like just looks and sounds beautiful. Like they redid the scores of the original game, and like it just has that super dramatic, like almost movie style feel now, instead of just like, you know, the previous music, which was done like in the game chip. So it kind of, a lot of it had that like video gamey sound, which isn't bad by any means. I love those old tunes, but like there's a certain level of like drama of hearing some of those songs done by like an entire orchestra instead of like of it like the PlayStation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so far, I've heard some things that I know some people are probably a little nervous about. They added a new character in the game. I don't know if they're an NPC or a playable character or whatever, but some people are worried about changing the overall tune or tone of the game. And I will say that in that first hour of gameplay, now granted, it's only the first hour, the tone, like, there are things that are different, but I think they're different for better reasons, right? Because, like, in the original Final Fantasy, it's not voice acted. It's all text. So they had to use the limitations of a text-based conversational RPG to tell you how people were feeling. And now you have, like, fully realized characters who can, like, act and say things, and, you know, based on their tones and inflections, you get a better idea of who they are. Because I literally did, for the stream on Monday, I did a side-by-side comparison. I did the demo first, and then I played through, like, the first 3 hours of Final Fantasy VII. And I can tell you this, I knew Cloud was, like, edgy and, like, just oozed that, like, you know, that, I'm a fucking badass, whatever. But that is so much more apparent in the demo, and their witty banter back and forth wasn't like a text slog. It actually was like awesome to listen to. They even added some like extra dialogue. Like, I think at some point during the demo, like there's a conversation between two other members of this like Avalanche, the organization that's blowing up this city's like reactors. And they're basically talking about how hot Cloud is, and is like, damn, I didn't know that about those fucking characters. I mean, like, I kind of assumed based on like stuff that happens later in the game, but like it's so much easier to tell the relationship between those characters when you don't have to sit there and like kind of half guess what text meant. You know what I mean? Because like there's a difference between I like you and I like you. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And like you don't get those subtle differences in, so like so far I think the changes are better.
That's good.
I know people are worried,
about, right?
What?
That's always something you worry about, right?
Yeah, well, I think it's in human nature for people to be upset or worried about change. Because I think we've instilled it in our brains that change means something bad happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this kind of natural, like, tendency that I've noticed anyways for, like, internet culture to be like, oh, something changed? I don't like that. But I think in this case, for this game, it really pulls itself into an area that I didn't think possible. Like, don't get me wrong, of the Final Fantasy games, like, this one's one of my favorites. So, like, this isn't like an outsider looking in. Like, I played Final Fantasy VII, like, I want to say like 3 or 4 times through, on top of other playthroughs that I didn't completely finish. And like, I love this game. Like, I'm excited to see what they do. The only thing that I'm I guess concerned is the right word. Yeah. The only thing I'm concerned about is this Final Fantasy remake. The full game from 1997 will not be available on April 10th because they are doing an episodic.
Yeah, they're rolling it out, right?
Yeah, they're rolling it out into separate games. And so I'm curious where, like, how much time am I going to put into this $60 game, right? Because at the end of the day, at least in the States, this is a $60 game. And if I'm only getting like, because like back in 97, like a $40-$50 game, depending on where you were, like Final Fantasy 7 was super long. Like it take like 20-30 hours minimum. So I'm curious to see what this first episode of the Final Fantasy 7 franchise, I guess, works. They did also mention that in a recent article, and I don't, again, take this with a grain of salt. I don't actually know for like firsthand, but I guess Red 13, who is one of the playable characters in 7, will not be a playable character in this game.
Huh. Okay.
So I'm curious, one, if it's true, and that, or like if I just heard it from a bad source, and 2, will he forever remain just an NPC? Because Red 13 was one of the characters that was in my like end game party for a really long time. Like he was like one of my favorites. He's this talking lion.
Yeah.
With this flame tail, and it's like there's like a whole village that he comes from, and like there's this really sad story that kind of comes from like his beginnings and stuff like that, and like it's this very dramatic and very emotional like thing with him. And that's kind of a lot of the characters. Like there's a lot of like emotional baggage that comes with most of them. And yeah, this game oozes drama. I don't know if it's in a good way, but I certainly love it. But yeah, all the characters have like issues that they have to deal with, or like, you know, like baggage, if you will. Uh-huh. And I'm curious to see how it plays out. Now, I know they also said that there are some, I don't know if they use the word problematic, but I think they're changing some of the scenes. There is a part early in the game where like Cloud has to Cloud has to cross-dress in order to get into this pervert's mansion now, and there are some like so which by the way, for those of you who are like, how did it end up for you? Don Corneo picked me, Cloud the man, over the other 2 hot ladies, so I'm the prettiest girl in the room right now, so just represent. But that being said, there are a couple of scenes leading up to that moment which are like, in order to get one of the items, you have to like basically go to the equivalent of like the Playboy. It's basically a brothel that like kind of parades itself as like a fantasy Playboy mansion, you know, like it's all like done up. And one of the scenes is like this dude sitting on your face after you pass out, and it's like, oh, okay, that was so I'm curious how they're going to handle that. Like, don't get me wrong, I thought it was hilarious, but you know, I'm not everybody. And there's also a couple of other scenes where like I think certain NPCs like kind of freak out and like kind of make cross-dressing like seem bad when it's clearly not. So like, who knows? I hope that they do a good job with those kind of like edge case topics, or like those topics that are a little sensitive. But like, you know, so far from what I've seen in that first hour of gameplay, in terms of aesthetic and gameplay, this game's gonna be fucking rad.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. But that's all I got.
Yeah. Did you see that video where they compared the oh my god, the intro cinematics?
So I have seen the new intro. I did not see the comparison though.
Someone cut it so it was like literally a side by side.
Oh, nice.
And like
and it's so different.
Yeah, but in so many ways it's similar.
Right.
Like,
so yeah, like they copied those scenes almost verbatim. But there's one thing that I really liked. So one of the first scenes in the game is like kind of stars, and then the camera shifts down to Aerith, who is praying in front of this like weird glowy thing. Yeah. Right? And then she leaves. And then in Final Fantasy VII Remake, they take this moment to foreshadow this kind of omniscient, like almost evil, Maleficent's not the word. Well, I guess that works. There's this malicious, like this evil force that she like senses in the alleyway, and she makes it a point to like get up and like run, or not run, but like do that fast jog, like I gotta get the fuck out of here. Yeah. And that's not apparent in the initial base game. So like they're already doing some really good storytelling, because that slow, like people who've played Final Fantasy VII know that that's the slowed down version of Sephiroth's theme, or the One-Winged Angel. And it really sets a tone for those scenes. And I think they're doing a lot of that with this. They're letting the updated graphics and sounds, and like the fact that they can kind of take a second look at this game to really get thematic and like show you things that may not be necessary, but they definitely add a level of like, ooh, what the fuck is that? That's so good. And there's only one big change so far that I've noticed, but I think it's kind of I would call it a Watchmen effect, where like it's different, but I think it serves the same purpose and like has like a similar outcome, even though it's not quite the same. But I won't get into that because it's kind of spoilers for the demo. But anyways, I'm excited.
It's cool. Check that out. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Shall we wrap her up?
You bet.
All right. Thank you guys for listening to Fan Roulette. Hey, Cody, if people like this and they want to learn more or participate or find out more about us, how can they do that thing that I said?
Well, the main thing they can do, or the biggest one rather, the kind of nexus of all of Fandom Roulette content, is to go to our website at www.fandomroulette.com, where all of our episodes are, that you can easily navigate through and click on the links. You can also find a little bio if you want a little more information about who we are and what we do. And then all the way at the bottom of the website, past the episodes and whatnot, there's a little area where you can give us feedback or comments, or, whatever you want, in a little area that doesn't require an email, just kind of an internet tag and the things that you want to say. And then underneath that is all the links to our social medias and our other platforms, such as our Twitter, which our Twitter handle is fandomr_podcast. We're also on Facebook and Instagram if you want to kind of see memes and like kind of our day-to-day when we post, funny things, or talk, just generally reach out to fans and whatnot about our lives outside of like us sitting here recording and whatnot. Yeah. And we're also on various platforms. If wherever you're hearing this from is not something that your friends want to listen to, and you're really like, I want my friends to hear this, we're on a bunch of different stuff. We're on iTunes, we're on SoundCloud, Google Play, Spotify, your RSS feeds. If you got like podcast catchers, we are on there. We're also on YouTube if you want to listen to us on YouTube. I know I'm a big YouTube fan, so like I get it. And then if you want to listen to or if you want to see me stream, you can do that every Monday at Twitter, or not Twitter, twitch.com/fandomroulette. Oh my god, twitch.tv/fandom roulette, where I play random games from 6 to 10 p.m. EST.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. Like, rate, review, subscribe, ring the bell, tell a friend, all that wonderful stuff. We want to thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.
Keep spreading the love. But signing off for Fam Roulette, this is Joe.
And I'm Cody.
And as always, stay nerdy.
Stay super nerdy.